Well, hi everybody. This voice, I am Greg. I am the forestry manager with the Whole Chunk Nation. I'm a forester, woodland forester. I'm also an arborist. I started working here in 2015, was here for about 3 years, and I've been back for a couple years now. Um, so this, um,
Craig,
I know this series,
I'm
sorry?
gonna stop you real quick. I have
Yeah.
a short introduction to do, and then I'll
Oh,
let you take
okay.
over, okay?
Sure.
Right. Thanks. So good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to Public Health's virtual education series, Wažookį, Family Conversations. I'm Renelle, public health nurse, joined today by Jamie, CHR supervisor, who will help moderate today's session. The goal of this series is to gather, learn, and share about Ho-Chunk culture, resources, services, and the connection to health. In public health, we focus on prevention, promotion, and protection of the health and well-being of our communities. Health and well-being are rooted in many aspects of our life, from physical body, our mental health, our spirit, the environment we live in, and much more. During these sessions, we will explore topics that can impact our health and well-being. Together, we will learn about tools and resources to improve our health and the health of our communities. Today, on this beautiful 45-degree weather in the Northwoods, we are happy to be joined by the Ho-Chunk Nation Department of the Ho-Chunk Nation Department of Natural Resources team as we explore the Ho-Chunk Nation woodland properties. We will have about 45 minutes for the presentation, followed by Q&A. Please use the chat function to enter any comments or questions for our presenter. Jamie and I will monitor the chat throughout the presentation and read the questions for our presenter at the end. You can also raise your hand and come off mute during the Q&A to ask your questions out loud. Any questions that we don't have time for, we will bring back to the DNR and email the answers back to the group. This session is being recorded and will be posted on the Department of Health website and our Facebook page. Everyone, please welcome the Ho-Chunk DNR staff.
Hi, once again, this is Greg. I am here with four other Ho-Chunk DNR staff members. We are all big believers in being outdoors is healthy. Walking and hiking outside is healthy. It's improved all of our lives. So we decided we were going to share with you some of our favorite places on the Ho-Chunk Nation lands. And places we like to hike. Now, some of these places, there's one place that has set up hiking trails. There's a lot of places that have fire breaks or roadways to hike on, but a lot of these places are also just good to wander around in. So some of these places, you're going to either need to know how to navigate yourself, or we are going to explain a little bit about navigating with a GPS application called Avenza. First of all, here's a map of Ho-Chunk tribal lands throughout the state of Wisconsin. I know a lot of folks here know Ho-Chunk history and why this land base is so scattered. So I won't go into it. This provides a lot of disadvantages for managing these properties. They are all scattered. They're discontinuous. Other nations are fortunate to have land bases that are more consolidated, but the other advantage is that we have a lot of different properties with different types of woods, different types of animals, different plant life, and that gives us an opportunity to have a wide variety of spots to check out. There are three different categories of Ho-Chunk land. The stuff that most of us probably are familiar with is trust or reservation land. This is stuff owned and controlled by the Ho-Chunk Nation 100%. Although it is held in trust by the Bureau of Indian Affairs, we do work with them to manage these lands. These lands, the trust reservation lands, are open to all Ho-Chunk tribal members to explore, except where leases exist. There are some of these lands that have people living on them, and there are we do have maps that show where these particular areas are, and we can help you avoid those areas. So on the trust lands, we just, if people live there, give them some space. There's one particular area in Wittenberg that we have a tribal member living on, and there's one good spot to park there, and we will explain that, and we'll go through that with other properties. Fee lands are lands just like any person might own. Um, People pay taxes on them. The BIA has nothing to do with it. Ho-Chunk Nation pays taxes on these properties. Still, they are owned by the Ho-Chunk Nation, and except for the Kickapoo Valley Reserve, where any person is allowed to go, mostly these areas are places where Ho-Chunk members should be, or people working for the Ho-Chunk should be when they're working. Ho-Chunk has a lot of, the third category is allotment land. And Ho-Chunk has a lot of allotment lands. Mostly these are lands, mostly these are lands that were allotted to Ho-Chunk families within the last 100 years. By now, many of these lands have hundreds of heirs. And generally, I would stay off of an allotment unless you are an heir or you are with an heir. We won't be talking about allotment properties too much today. All the areas we're talking about are trust and reservation or fee lands. This is a map of the area around Toma known as Ahucho or Blue Wing. And they're all three different land categories are on this map. So if you look at this blue area here, this is East Blue Wing. There's some residential areas right here, but most of this is forest land. And this is an example of a trust property, 100% owned by the Ho-Chunk, and the BIA has it in trust. And this is an area where Ho-Chunk tribal members can go, but you want to avoid being on the lease lands of the people who live here. And Jimmy lives right here, and he says you can go on his land whenever you want. No, he doesn't say that. You should avoid going there if you can. Now this red area here is fee land. This is land that has been purchased by the Ho-Chunk Nation and is not in trust yet. It may go into trust at some point. But if you're a Ho-Chunk tribal member, you can still go on this type of land unless it happens to be more like the Toma housing complex. So if there's, a business or facilities on the area or a lease, you should stay away from that. And most of our maps are going to have the leases marked out. Now, all these yellow areas here are allotments. So Ho-Chunk tribal members or their descendants own shares in these allotments. A lot of people have leases to live on these allotments. And unless you are an heir or you happen to be with an heir, I would avoid going onto these properties. It is trespassing. All right, so where can you get maps? Well, we already have most of these maps in a printed form in the Ho-Chunk hunting packet. So this has a bunch of maps. It has property descriptions. However, it is not hooked into your GPS. So you can have the map, you can download the map using this QR code or going to the link here, but it won't help you get around and tell you where you are. Now, this is something that for you people who are pretty good with technology can use. This is the Avenza navigation application. And there are a lot of different things you could download offline, but this will work if you have no internet connection. And it will allow you to use your GPS to navigate the properties if you have downloaded the maps before you get out of internet range. So if you go to the Google Maps, the Google Store, the Apple Store, you can download the Avenza navigation app for free. And it allows you to put 3 maps on the program at once. And if you have more maps stored in your phone memory, you can carry those around and switch them in and out. But once you get the Avenza maps, you can go out into the woods and you'll have the parcel maps that we're going to show you, and it will tell you where you are walking, and you can avoid going onto a non-tribal lands, and you can avoid getting onto these leases that tribal members have if you use this app. Now, all these maps that we're going to show you are on the Ho-Chunk DNR website under the forestry section. So if you go to the main Ho-Chunk website and you navigate to the DNR, these maps are there for you to download. And this is what a lot of us use when we're in the field, especially if we're out of internet range. All right, the first property we're going to talk about is Kingsley Bend. A lot of people probably have been there. If you're going from the Dells down to Portage on Highway 16, it's an old wayside. There happened to be a whole bunch of effigy mounds there, and the Ho-Chunk now owns this. This is fee land, as you can see by the red boxes, which for our purposes, it doesn't really matter. But this is a good place to hike. There are a lot of effigy mounds. It's easy to drive and park. The parking lot is right here. And if you look here and throughout here, there are little fire breaks that have been cut in there that are easy, even ground to walk on. So if you want to have a short hike in pretty good ground, this is a good spot. You can see effigy mounds. Around the effigy mounds, there's a lot of good old growth hickory and oak. The Ho-Chunk DNR has two little plantations there, cultural plantations that you can explore. Right here, this is all basswood, which is going to be used for making traditional rope and binding materials. And this little slot right here is tamarack, which is planted for using to make chapotake poles and teepee poles. You know, so this is all pretty natural around here. Plantation here, and the Ho-Chunk Nation also bought this white pine plantation, which it's nice and open. You can walk through there and see some pretty big old trees. So that's a good beginner hike, or a good place to walk and see some cultural sites. All right, so here's some picture of Kingsley Bend. You can see here the pretty big old oaks. Right here we have some Jack in the Pulpit. Here we have Prairie Rocket, Chettle. What kind is that again? Shooting Star. And this is Hoary Pacoon. All right. So there's a lot of different, even though it's not a supernatural site everywhere, we got some good wildflowers and plants there that you can see as you wander around looking at the other sites. And then we have somebody else to talk about, Lisa Ward.
Hey guys, I'm Earl Funmaker. I'm the wildlife technician. I started last April, so it's been a fun ride. Okay, Leeson Ward is located south of Osseo. It's 311 acres. The interstate and highway double F right here cuts through our property, so it divides into 3 sections. For the entrance on the east side of the property, it's located on the north side off old 27 right here. And you can, you drive through right here and gain access. And on the west side of the property, it has a good parking spot right here. And there's forest roads throughout the property. You can drive through there if you have if you can't get around too much, and you can walk through these trails too. This property on this side, it kind of has like a bunch of ridges, and usually during gun season it's used by like deer hunters. Yeah, you could really tell there's a bunch of deer stands throughout this property. The forestry division, they planted some pine trees and oak trees right here, and here. That helps with the forest regeneration. And yeah, so I basically kind of explained this already. We planted some oaks and pines. There's a forest road system, and we saw multiple signs of bears. I personally found a couple bear tracks right here, and with our cameras out there, we caught some bear walking through, and we actually seen a buck and a doe bedded together. I'll show you the video of it real quick. Yeah, so we thought this doe was hurt actually. So we ended up walking up to it. We got about like 10 feet away, and here it took off running. But yeah, that was during the rutting season. Um, Click the screen. There you go. Oh, hold on.
Hi, my name is James Swenson. I'm the wildlife biologist for the Ho-Chunk Nation. I've been here for 2 years. It'll be 3 this August. So this is O'Connor. O'Connor, you can find it east of what's that little town called? It's north of Fairchild.
South of Stanley.
South of Stanley. And there's a nice little parking spot right here. There's an old shed and a roundabout. And you can also, if you drive down a little bit, there is a old logging trail that you can also drive down and park. The northern half is pretty wet. There's a stream that kind of flows through here, and it opens up and gets pretty wet. There's also a spring there that you can get spring water from. And then the stream flows down into the river down here. It's really pretty. Lots of ferns. Lots of really cool wet vegetation. If you do go in that northern side, you do want to like wear maybe mucks or rubber boots. Once you get up to here, it's pretty dry. And this side up here is, or down here is an upland, so it's pretty dry there too. But once you get down, you'll see there's a ridge that goes down towards the river, and it gets partially wet there. So we go in there. I have some cameras that I put out looking at relative abundance of wildlife utilizing the Ho-Chunk lands. And while I'm out there, we'll get this really nice neighbor dog. She'll come up running and barking at you, but it's just a front. If you just stand there, she'll come up, she'll sniff you, and then she'll go on a hike with you. She's really sweet. She follows you around. Really good dog, good listener. And then we also planted some black spruce down here, as well as oak and walnut. And here are some of the pictures I got on my cameras, or on our cameras. Quite a bit of bear activity. So this is a mother bear and her 3 cubs. I got turkey showing off to the ladies. There's quite a bit of flying squirrel activity there, which is great because that means that there's great fungal life going on there. Bobcat, quite a few pictures of fisher. We have purple or pink moccasin, lady slipper, tons of ferns, like I said. Here's the stream down on the southern part. It's basically a river that flows through there, and it's pretty moist or pretty wet soil. So there's even there were ash trees on that property as well.
Okay, Winneshiek. Winneshiek is located south of Hatfield. It's 116 acres, but that includes the residential area too. Yeah, so if it's located off Palm Road, And a good, easy entrance point is off Eagle Point, and it's like right here. You park right here, and there's some trails that lead into this property. But yeah, so this is one of my favorite properties. I usually go catfishing right here, and there's a rock that kind of protrudes out. I usually sit on it. I've caught muskie, pike, bass, walleye. Um, yeah, overall it's a good fishing spot. And right up here on the northern side of the property, there's a beaver pond right here, and yeah, I've seen ducks use it. It's good for other wildlife. And during the gun season, we'll usually drive this property out right here. Usually, the drivers will start in this section, and we'll push it to this bowl. So yeah, it mainly gets used during deer season too. And here is the picture of the beaver pond. It kind of hooks off over past this side of the hill. And I got a video here of some mallards. I just thought that was cool. And I think we're going to go on to the next property.
Hi, my name is Channel Garvin. I'm the Ho-Chunk Katapirakata cultural forester here at DNR. I'm going to be speaking obviously on Kickapoo Valley Reserve. Many of you probably know the Kickapoo Valley Reserve from canoeing or tubing down the river, but I will be talking more about what is off the river. The KVR itself as a whole is made up of 8,569 acres. The tribal land, trust land, is 1,199 acres within that total 8,569. This trust land is open to the public, unlike all of the nation's other properties. The Kickapoo Valley Reserve is co-managed jointly with the state and the nation. So that is one of the reasons. The Kickapoo is probably one of my favorite places to go and explore. It not only is it just a short distance from where I live in Toma, but this is part of the area that is part of the driftless area. So this Kickapoo Valley, in addition to other places, was not scraped flat by the glacial ice, and so having not been untouched by that, there's a lot more topography to it, a lot of plants and trees that you don't find in other areas near us. You might find them north, but not in the surrounding areas. It's just where that glacier did not go and scrape off the land. So the topography is more rolling hills, valleys, sandstone cliffs, but there's also prairies and wetlands there as well. These various, both North and South KVR have various habitats, that are excellent for foraging. I love to forage, and you can find, just to name a few, morels, chicken of the woods, reishi, chaga, hen of the woods, Jerusalem artichoke, numerous kinds of tree nuts, leeks, berries, etc. They can all readily be found there. You may have to go off the trail probably, but I don't mind that. So in addition to all those different plants and mushrooms and nuts, you can find hemlock trees, which you mainly find north of here, quite a bit farther north of here. And I believe there's about 12 endangered plants endangered and rare plants that you can find in the Kickapoo Valley Reserve that are not in the surrounding area. And that's all due to being in that driftless area. I've hiked and explored the majority of the KVR on my own time and while doing tree stand surveys for the DNR here. And I tend not to stay on trails, but for those who do, the KVR throughout the whole thing has numerous trails, not just for hiking, but also for horseback riding, mountain biking, cross-country skiing, and snowmobiling. Let's see, camping is allowed at specific sites, but all those camping sites are primitive sites, so they do not have water or a toilet, and need to be reserved through the Kickapoo Valley Reserve. Hunting is excellent out there, many deer. So, but there's also many hunters that come to hunt it. There's a lot of parking spaces throughout the reserve that you can stop at to go to the trails. You could stop at the visitor center that is just outside of Lafarge there. Let's see. I think that's it for Kickapoo Valley. So thank you.
Do you want to talk about any of these?
These are just some pictures that we've gathered from the Kickapoo Valley Reserve. It's a couple from the prairies, a green snake, of course, one from the river, but these are, you can get an idea of the top right, farthest right of the trails, and that's a wintertime picture of it, but they're very well maintained by both the reserve and the Ho-Chunk Nation jointly. But they're wide and they're very good trails. But a different variety of species you find there. There's some bear corn, different prairies found there, angelica. Some of the topography you can see there, a little more bluffs and rolling hills. Turkey eggs you can find, yes. If you can get to them, the ice caves, they're in winter especially, they're a little hazardous to get to, but they are fun to see. Some remnants of the dam that was to be built back in the day, they're pretty interesting to see, and there are trails that run right along the bottom of there. A lot of people go out there for morel hunting, so when the season comes up. And then just one sign, a beaver sign, and then some bunchberry, which you can also forage. But lots of animals out there, bobcat, deer, and runs the gamut of animals. So.
All right, the next property we'll want to talk about is Darst, which is in Black River Falls. So this right here is Highway 54, and if you go about this far, you're at Whitetail Crossing. This road right here is Mission Road. So the best way to access Darst, which is 330 acres, is to go down Mission Road and go into the electric line easement. And you can park there. And then if you see on this map, there are several old logging roads that we have been maintaining because we've been doing a lot of projects in here. All throughout this area here, we've been creating some little gaps in the forest for elk to eat on, because deer prefer eating on trees and elk prefer eating on grass. So before fire suppression and before European settlement, this was what was called pine barrens. So it would have some scattered trees with grass in between. And this is one of my favorite properties. First, it's easy for us to get to. So we've been able to explore there and do a lot of management on it. It's got a creek running through the south end, Levis Creek, which you can see right here. It meanders in and out, and this is the Joe Wolf subdivision, which is Ho-Chunk as well. And right here is where this Oxbow Pond is. So you can take this road right here, and it almost goes all the way down to the Oxbow Pond. And there's a picture of the Oxbow Pond. Early Wind was lucky enough to be out there one day when he spotted this barred owl, and we've all seen owls out there. So this is what that sounds like. So when you hear that, you know you've heard a barred owl. We see elk tracks out there all the time, so we know they're using it. Deer out there all the time. Oops. How do I undo that now? Okay. All right. So some other things. So this lower left picture is what a Pine Barrens looks like. It's very sandy. It doesn't look too nice, but it is a special ecosystem. There's different animals and plants that live there and don't live anywhere else. Sandbirds, there's weird little puffballs all over the place out there. And although it looks kind of dead there, it's very much alive. And it's kind of an ecosystem that has been lost because of fire suppression and European agriculture. So we are making our efforts to bring it back to this. There's beaver activity. This is a picture of Levis Creek. Next parcel. This is a small 40-acre parcel called Mallory. It's near Pittsville or Dexterville. It's a little parcel mixed in with around. There's a few Ho-Chunk families that live over there, and there's a lot of cranberry marshes. Now, if you look here, these are two of those lots, Ho-Chunk leases. So there is a Ho-Chunk family here. If you go to visit this parcel, I would park on one of these roads and just walk in. Now, what is special about this little 40-acre parcel? It's this. It is almost a pristine wilderness still. Like these are almost all white oak, and to find pure stands of white oak, although these aren't the oldest ones, it is a really nice stand, especially since that's a special tree around here. Also, you can walk right through that understory without lots of invasive trees or even prickly ash or the annoying shrubs no one likes to walk through. So if you want to see a healthy forest with a lot of white oak, this is probably the best example on Ho-Chunk lands right now. And the next is Rockland.
Hello, my name is James Blackdeer. I'm new to the staff here. I'll be talking about Rockland property. Rockland property is located in La Crosse and Monroe County, 446 acres between Sparta and Salem. So coming into the property here.
Look at the screen there, you can tell better.
Okay. All right, it's coming off Kale Road. So you'll pull in, there's a gate, also a sign for the property here. This time of year, it's getting really muddy, but there's a road that goes all the way back. But I would park there this time of year. Cell reception is bad there. Not a place you want to get stuck at. So coming in the property, there were some ag fields that have been burned off by the DNR staff here. Also have some tree plantings in here and a creek that runs through. There's a beaver pond and a little creek that runs through there. So here's a picture of Greg's little friend here that was following him around. This is just a little cat from the neighboring property, I'm guessing. Last year during Earth Day, they held an event. Local youth planting trees out there. Next slide here, we've got some videos. So here we have a muskrat under the ice. Here you find muskrats, beavers. Here's an otter swimming around. So you got wetland, you got ag fields here, and oh, here's an owl that Earl got. This time of year, deer are shedding their antlers. You know, here's one that they picked up. So yeah, very popular place for hunting. So I, just remember to wear orange if you're out during hunting season. Great place for foraging. And also this time of year, you might find people out there tapping maple trees. Tribal members, or I know a couple youth groups that were out there in the last couple of years tapping trees. But it's a pretty cool place to walk around and check out.
All right, another nice hilly place to check out is Parmenter, and it's about 5 miles west of Melrose. And this is another spot where there is a whole chunk family living, so you want to avoid going right towards the house. There are a couple places to park, just pulling off right here and right here, but they're steep, and if it's wet, you might get stuck. Now, we do park right here occasionally, and I think that's okay. Just don't block the driveway. Another very safe place to park would be here. And this is just very nice steep bluffs. We have been burning off this meadow up in the hills regularly, so it's turned into, more of a natural prairie, as has this. These ag fields are still being leased out, but if you like strenuous hiking and oak trees, this is a good place to hike. There's also several like mountain type ravines with creeks running through them right here, and there's another one running through here. If you want some big old 200-year-old oaks, you like hiking up a hill, you can get up into this ridge here, and it's too steep for logging, so you got some 150, 200-year-old oaks up there. You can tell who the wildlife people and who the tree people are, I guess. All right, this is just some views from the road. The access is pretty easy. And we have done some oak planting. This is an example of one of them. And these aren't the big honkers of the oaks, but this is still a nice oak stand with a lot of different age classes in it, which bodes well for the future.
All right, so White Otter, just outside of Linden Station. And if you come down County Road N, there's a turnoff right here. I can't remember the name of the road. Rusty Road. And there's a nice little parking spot right here. There's another spot right down Drums Road. And there's another like roundabout here that you could park. I would be respectful of the houses over here. They are tribal members, so give them space. But these prairies up here and down here are gorgeous. They have tons of prairie plants. There's great old growth forest and a little creek that flows through here. We do burn the prairies. So here's a picture of the prairies being burned. And then when the prairies grow back, they grow back that new growth and the wildflowers and grasses provide seeds for small mammals, and in the wintertime, that becomes thermal cover for those small mammals. It has been used in the past for educational purposes. We got Bill Quackenbush here showing us a group of students how a Wažookį is built. Randy Palma here showing students how to electroshock. We got this great picture here of this wonderful yellow trail of flowers, which isn't there anymore, but it's pretty great. And then we have this nature viewing station that's still there out on the property. Here's the creek here in the wintertime. During the summertime, it's just covered in grasses. It's gorgeous. Here's a summertime picture of one of the prairies with butterfly milkweed. The prairies were established by Wažookį members. Is it the cultural? And then we also have great stands of aspen and paper birch. Here's some wildlife photos. I got some great buck pictures of some good-looking bucks. This property does get some hunting on it. We have a northern harrier here looking for some of those mice that I was talking about. This picture is a little blurry, but this is a bumblebee flying through, utilizing all those wildflowers. And I caught quite a few bumblebees on this camera, which tells me that there is a bumblebee nest nearby, which is great because they are struggling these days with habitat destruction. We have a kestrel here flying up onto the camera, probably to land there and scout for small mammals. And then if you do go during the right time of year, you can hear cranes. There is a small pond there, and the cranes love hanging out on the small pond. I've seen ducks and swans there as well.
All right. Quickly, this is up by Wittenberg again, the old wayside just south of the casino. If you park, you can go in this way. Just make sure you move the cable first so you don't tear your car apart. But there's access to the Hami Pond on this parcel. There's good walking through here. We have done some work there recently. We planted hundreds and hundreds of tamarack there. And there is an old ash bog there, black ash bog. All the black ash have died. So this is a picture of Chettle planting tamarack in that part, in that bog as well. We just don't want it to go back to cattails and tag alder, so we're trying to get some trees in there. And across the street from there is the Newski property. Once again, a Ho-Chunk tribal member lives here. Please give them space, but there is a little spot here that you could park. And this whole area is a white cedar swamp and tamarack swamp. So if you're trying to harvest natural white cedar, this is a good spot to do it. Also, there's tons of different crazy flowers that live there for a week or so every spring. So, I'd say late April's a very good time to go out there. We have gone out there with the youth. This is a group of youth harvesting the white cedar that's there. And you can probably do some of that too. Just don't over harvest.
So if there's a house and you walk up on a house, just try to give them space. We don't want to encroach on their peace. And if there is a gate, please be respectful of the gate. Don't block the gate. Don't drive around the gate. We have those gates there to protect the roads, to protect the property. And mostly because the roads get pretty wet and it's very easy to rut them up on certain times of the year. So we'll close those gates during the spring, during that those rains, and while the snow is melting and the permafrost is melting and loosening up all those soils. It's very easy to get stuck and create ruts. And we wouldn't want anyone to get stuck. A lot of these properties do have areas with bad signal. So if you get stuck out there, it might be a while before someone comes looking for you. There is no camping. And also, please, if you are wandering out there, whatever you bring in, please bring back with you. If that's a water bottle, if that's a snack, a bag, please be respectful of the land and the wildlife on the lands and bring those items back with you. Thank you.
And that is all we have planned. So if there's questions, we can take those. Y'all,
Right now, there aren't any questions in the chat, but a lot of love for the videos.
okay.
Naomi, I think she was talking about Kickapoo, about one of their favorite places to go camping, and some great trout streams for fly fishing. I did put most of the links that you had in your presentation in the chat. If anyone wants them after this session, I can email them out. Does anybody have any questions for the wonderful DNR staff while we have them?
Here, you guys get in front of the camera. We're all here now. Okay, go on.
See all of your beautiful faces.
Yeah, we're not that technologically savvy, but we managed to muddle through this, I think.
There you go. Blur. Blur.
Don't blur us.
Let me try not to. Well, taking a picture. No, I'm just kidding. There we go.
All right. Chettle, you were blurred. You were standing too far back. All right, yeah. So this is a forestry and wildlife staff. There is another 5-6 people who work for the lands division, and we work with them all the time. They help us, and we help them.
I'm gonna see any questions.
Go all the way to the bottom.
So Calix puts in, what is the protocol to harvesting on these properties?
We do have tapping permits and definitely wood cutting permits. If you are foraging, we don't have a policy right now, just because it has not become an issue. If we do have an issue with people over harvesting, then we will come up with a policy. Right now, even with white cedar, we haven't seen an issue with people over harvesting. If it does become an issue, then that will become something we monitor. But if you want to tap trees, give us a call. If you need firewood, yeah, you can give us a call as well, and we can direct you to a place where it can be cut. We see the question about Muscadet and Whirling Thunder properties. Those are also great properties. We just had to pick and choose. Whirling Thunder is kind of discontinuous. So it's a little bit more difficult to talk about and to get around on. And Muscadet, I think felt like a lot of people know about Muscadet, and it's also kind of in between management plans, I think, right now. But that is open. A lot of people are foraging down there on a regular basis.
Muscadet has quite a bit of poison ivy, so keep an eye out for that. Wash your hands and your legs if you're wandering through there. Make sure you get your clothes washed before you touch them again, because poison ivy, you see poison oak, poison ivy. It is crazy down there. So really cool. If you don't know what it looks like, that'd be a property to check it out.
Yeah, I mean, they're both places you can visit, though. And if people are interested in, if they start using Avenza and they want Avenza maps for Muscadet and Whirling Thunder, we can easily provide those. Just call the DNR office, and Karen, our office manager, can direct you to the right spot.
Well, Pina Gigi, thank you so much for this amazing presentation. All the pictures and videos were great. I think I'm gonna go make some chaga tea now since I haven't had that in a while. As
Nice.
a reminder, this session is being recorded and it will be available on the Department of Health website and the Facebook page. We look forward to seeing you at our next session on Wednesday, March 5th from 1 to 2. We will be joined by Bella Schulke, who is a honors nursing student at UW. She will be addressing intimate partner violence in pregnant Indigenous women. You can use the same link as today to join all future sessions. To add the recurring WebEx link to your calendar, please reach out to Jamie and I, and we will forward you the invite. We welcome all feedback related to this series. If you have a topic you would like to learn more about, or if you would like to present on a topic, please reach out to Jamie and I. Our email addresses are in the chat. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.